Well, hello, and welcome back to another scary episode of Ghost Stories Told from the South. I am your host, Stephen LeBooth. I got some great stories for you today. I got some lighthouses, and then some more scary Christmas stories. Because, really, what's Christmas without some Halloween sprinkled into it? A little mystery, a little murder, a little ghost, a little something. So sit back, relax, hit play, get you a blanket, some nice cocoa or coffee, and chill and relax and get ready to get the crap scared out of you. Okay, it ain't gonna be nothing that bad. But I got some good stuff today. But hey, how's everybody doing? Another edition of Ghost Stories Told from the South, baby. I'm your host, Stephen Booth, baby. Man, we're getting close to episode 100, man. This is episode 84. Can't believe I'm still chugging along. And I want to say thank you to everybody out there. I have about 5 podcasts. All of my podcasts, this one right here is doing the best out of all of them. So I just want to say thank you. My numbers are good coming up and all that stuff. So, hey, I'm getting over 200 downloads a month. I think that's good for a little independent country boy doing this out of Mineral, Texas. I mean, it's just cool. Sorry for burping in the microphone there, kiddos. But yeah, man. Hope everybody's having a good week at work. Hope you're enjoying the holiday season. So yeah, I hope everybody's good in the hood. I know it's good over here. So, but I guess I'll quit my rambling ons there, and we will get on with our first stories. Okay, I'm going to go over Lighthouses of New York. Now, this tells a little bit of them, but then I'm going to break down further into them. So after I do these brief little stories on these, I'm going to pick one and dive deep into it. So be prepared and be ready. And you might have heard of some of these. There's only 3 lighthouses in New York. And you might have heard of some of these before when I did like a top 10 list of the East Coast lighthouses. But our first lighthouse is the Extension Rocks remain one of the most grisly and haunted lighthouse history. According to legend, when America was a British colony with a growing revolutionary spirit, the accompanying British force was trying to avoid further inflaming the rebels. Looked condemned. Looked to okay. Anyways, they took the rebels, the guys that were part of the revolution. They took the command prisoners to Extension Rock. The soldiers chained the prisoners to the rock at low tide, and then watched as the tide rose to carry out the death penalty. Basically, they drowned them. They tied them to this rock at low tide, and then when high tide came, they'd fucking drown. Basically, a very slow, shitty death. I would hate that. While awaiting their fate, the terrified prisoners would be forced to look at the skulls of those who went before him. So basically, when they put you down here, they don't even clean the bodies up from the last one. They just leave the shit there, chain you up, and bam. So not only are you, flipping out because you're fixing to die, you're sitting there with all these other dead fucks. Yeah. Oh. Sorry about that. Okay. The exhausted prisoners extended their revenge when the British soldiers pursuing George Washington hit a reef and perished. The legend of the Extension Rocks horrifying that happens assigned to this post did not have to sign a contact and could request and receive an immediate transfer whenever they felt other overwhelmed. So they would give you the option when you got to be here at this lighthouse. Hey, we know this place is haunted and shitty. If you want to go after a week or two, you can. That's pretty cool. There were many whispered stories of ghostly specters, yet the last keeper denied seeing anything. Although fire struck the engine room twice on his watch. The first time, when the fog signal slowed, the keeper met with a wall of flames while going to investigate. The second time, the roof caught fire out of the blue from an overheated pipe, flames while going to investigate. Oh, wait, no, I read that wrong. Sorry. The second time, the roof caught on fire from an overheated pipe. Some believe the ghosts of the condemned prisoners continue taking their revenge. You never know, that might be the case. Okay, let's get ready for number 2, our second lighthouse. Oh, I didn't say the name of this first one. The first lighthouse was, dang it. Which one was this called? Well, son of a britches. I can't remember now. I think this one's the extinction light or something like that. Oh, no. This is the Fire Island Lighthouse. That's the one I just said. Now, the next one, we shall see. Oh, no, that's the second one I'm going to do. I can't find the name of the first one I did. Sorry about that, but it's a lighthouse in New York. I'm so funny. Okay, well, let's get on with the second one. Now, the second one's going to be called the Fire Lighthouse. Okay, the Fire Island Lighthouse. There are 2 stories surrounding the light. The first tells of one keeper forcing his wife and his child to haul him up to the tower from outside. The keeper refused to climb the tower to check on the light where a person reported a predecessor reportedly hung himself. Some say they can hear footsteps and music in the rooms. The predecessor killed himself. I wonder if being isolated like that too fucks with your head. It probably does. That's why they commit suicide a lot, I guess. The second story involves Smith and his family who lived in this snug, comfortable stone house. While the new lighthouse was being built, when the project supervisor ran out of rocks, he ordered the keeper to move into a cold, drafty wood frame house so he could transfer the rocks from the stone house to the lighthouse. The keeper had a child with serious breathing problems, and fearing the dampness of the wood frame house, he would further damage the child's lungs. They begged the project supervisor to allow them to continue to live in the warm stone house. The supervisor refused, and when December cold and furious winds attacked the island, the child became gravely ill. Keeper Smith frustratedly summoned a doctor from the mainland, climbing the tower stairs every hour to free the light from the snow and wait for the doctor who never came. Oh, shit. Many people believe hearing the footsteps in morning is in seeing falling plaster. The they believe that Keeper Smith still climbs the stairs and waits for the doctor. You know, that might be true. He just might do that. Okay, boys and girls. I hope you thought that one was cool, man. Here is our last one. Okay, our last one is the Stratford Shaw's Lighthouse in New York. The Stratford Shaw's Lighthouse is nothing more than a 60-foot granite structure perched above an ocean reef just off Long Island. The head keeper left the first assistant, Morrill Hulse, and second assistant, Julius Joster, in a chance of tending Coster in a charge of tending the light while he went ashore. Sometime later, a newspaper reported that Julius, in a fit of rage, attacked Morrill with a razor. Morrill, forced to defend himself, finally calmed a very disgruntled Julius. Soon after the incident, Julius took an axe, talked himself into the lantern room where he stopped the rotating light, making it possible to warn mariners of intimate danger. Basically, he was fucking with the light so the sailors couldn't see that there's danger coming, so don't go that way. Where was I? Julius, still in disgruntled frame of mind, jumped into the ocean, and again Morrill bravely saved him. This time Morrill bound Julius in ropes and held him captive until help arrived. 2 days later, Julius was taken to New York, where he finally succeeded in killing himself. Some believe that the spirit returned to Stratford Shoals Light. The doors can be heard slamming, chairs crashing against the walls, and pairs of hot water reportedly thrown from the stove. Oh, pans of hot water are thrown from the stove. The Coast Guard automated the light in 1969, yet sailors passing by reported hearing eerie sounds. Noisy gets noisier the closer they get. So that's it for them. Now, the one I'm going to break into is of the Fire Island Lighthouse. Now, you might say you just said this one, but this one is like a more in-depth kind of research I've done on it. It's some stories and stuff, so let's dig in. Okay, like I said, this is the Fire Island Lighthouse. The breeze had picked up. The moon high in the sky, and a little fire on the beach was blessedly warm. The older gentleman spoke softly and gently, lit to his voice as he retraced the history of Fire Island and the Fire Island Lighthouse. There seems to be some disagreement about how Fire Island came by its name. There's one camp that claims it's Dutch. The Dutch were about the first people in this area, you know. When they came here, they found 4 inlets where they could bring in their boats, and the Dutch name for 4 is Veer. Vire. Have you ever seen any of the old maps? Queen thinks indeed. It says queer, but I don't know about that. Thinks indeed hard to read, and of course it made no sense to the to the average Englishman who came later, and it's thought that when they read Veer, they mistook it for fire, and so it began Fire Island. Oh. So basically, it's because the Englishmen couldn't talk very good, or they couldn't pronounce it. And there's others who claim that it's from the wrecks, who are wreckers, who are pirates, and all but name only. They would set a fire on the lee side of the island, and a merchant ship would head for the light, particularly in a storm, thinking they would find safe harbor. Instead, they would run aground and come apart here on the island. Oh, so the pirates would use that as their advantage. Pretty swift. Get to the point about the ghost grandpa. A small voice said from the other side of the firing. 3 little heads were barely visible, huddled closer together, only their eyes shining from the fiery light in the darkness. Behind them, the Atlantic was bushily gray, the white caps of the surf flickering and disappearing as they crashed into the beach. Just keep your breeches on. We'll get to that, he said. With just a trace of irritation, the old fellow knew his business. A ghost story by nature short, as in encountered with a ghost. Seeing a ghost can be like shapes in the light. It's gone before you can ever speak their word. A ghost story there can ever speak their word. A ghost story, therefore, by nature, that it fed to the listeners like letting... What the heck? Okay. Anyways, I heard a ding-dong and it scared me. Where was I at? Okay, shapes. A ghost story, therefore, by nature, but it's fed to the listeners like letting out the line from a rod and reel, waiting for the listener to take the bait. The first people to live on this island came here in 1653, when a fellow, he glanced over at Mrs. Browen and me, Isaac Stratford, a fellow out of Babylon, if memory serves me correct, built a whaling station and called it by the name of Wellhouse Point. Old Man Stratford and his boys would haul boats across Fire Island from the lee side over here to the beach side. They built towers up there on the of a whale, and the old man Stratford would shout out, "Whale off!" The whale, and the old man Stratford would shout out, "Whale off!" Well, I guess when someone makes you mad, instead of saying, fuck off, you can go, "Whale off." After he would say "whale off," they'd all arouse into the boats, and off they'd go. I like to sing. Off they would go, harpoons, rope, and the whole 9 yards, because there was good money to be had in those days from whales. They learned the technique from the Indians of the area, but it was the white man who turned it into a business. So they loaded the great fish up with harpoons. Okay. They loaded the great fish up with harpoons and attacked those harpoons were what was called a drogo. A drogo is a barrel of seal skin, which has been inflated and then sealed off. And once you got the harpoons in it, the whale would tear itself out trying to submerge and stay down. And then eventually the boys could pull up beside and spirit to death. So basically they'd stab the motherfucker to death. I don't see how though. They got such thick skin. Then they hauled it up to the beach, all blood soaked and submerged with bubble, and pull out the knives in the saws and go to work. The oil lit their lanterns, of course. They could turn it into a bit of coin. The bones went into comps and such collars, and then men were wearing at the time with umbrellas and later on hoops for women's dresses. Now by the 1800s, there weren't any more whales close to the shore. Either they had been bumped out, or the whales had whizzed up so they wouldn't be hunted. So whales meant you needed a ship, and the whalehouse point was pretty soon forgotten. But ships were forever running around the island or sinking off the island in the shallow waters. So in 1826 they decided to build a lighthouse there at the end of the island, right next to the inlet. Over the years, the sand has stretched itself out. Of course, the inlet starts several miles down the beach, but they threw the lighthouse up with blue split rock, imported and shipped in from the Connecticut River. It was necessary as tall as the one is, just about 75 feet, and it was 8-sided. An octagon, and a small voice from the darkness. That's right, an octagon, he said, and continued, but it was tall enough. Ships far out at sea. Oh, it wasn't tall enough for the ships out at sea could not see the light. And in the fog or bad weather, it was all but invisible. He looked off into the darkness, and our eyes followed, and the light flashed brightly for an instant before disappearing again, repeating itself endlessly a half a mile or so down the beach. They say what spelled the end for the lighthouse was a shipwreck. Now there are countless shipwrecks up and down these coasts, but usually the poor drowned fellows are just sailors, and sailors' lives wasn't worth a plucked nickel. So that's pretty racist. Wasn't worth a plucked nickel back in those days. If you made your living from the sea, you had to expect that at any time you might die from the sea as well. But this wasn't just any feeding the fish this time. She was a society woman with a mouthful of name. Sarah Margaret Fuller, a Cambridge gal from up in Massachusetts, where she was something of a thinking woman. The first one to be admitted to Harvard Law, as if it was called then. A school teacher, literally critic, and a writer herself. Now all those literary types of the day, Emerson Thura, and even Walt Whitman was a Long Island boy now. I'm an island boy. Shut the hell up. Oh, God, them guys scare me. They're freaking freaks, man. They're crazy looking. But anyways, Island Boy, Long Island. Okay. Knew her stuff and thought she was just the bee's knees. The old heroic Greeley of the New York Times made her first woman correspondent to come out of the States. She went to Rome and fell in love, got fixed up in the revolution there with a Mercius with ever longing name. The the Marchese Giovanni Angelo Aslai. And actually her and the Murchys got themselves married, had a baby, and decided that coming back there would be a better option than the guillotine or the mob. So they went on the merchant ship Elizabeth. This would have been about 1850 or so. It was a horrible, horrible journey. Smallpox spread through the ship. The captain died, and that left a fellow with most half a brain to steer the rest of the way. And of course, the Atlantic is pretty unforgiving to these fools. They got caught in a storm out there just off the beach and ran the ship aground, thinking the lighthouse was the Cape May Lighthouse, and so they thought Cape May was okay. So they thought it was off New Jersey. He tells everyone to get ready to be in New York Harbor by daybreak. So they all put on their Sunday best stuff to go out in, and they basically drowned in it. Anyways, the merchants and the merch and their little boy Angelo got washed over the side of the ship, slowly sank to the bottom, and was never found. Now lots of their bodies have washed up, often right here at the foot of the lighthouse. And it's said that from time to time you can still see Maggie. You can still see Maggie walking along the beach, looking for her lost manuscript where she was bringing back to New York with her and her little boy and husband following along behind. But at any rate, since such a important person had died this time, they decided they needed a bigger lighthouse out there on the island. Friends in high places put the squeeze in Congress and outpotted $40,000 within a year. This lighthouse was up more than twice as high as the original. How high is this one? Pretty damn high, they said. Well, this new one's about 168 feet tall, so yeah, that's pretty big. Give it or take it a few inches. Maybe the red brick, which you can see if you go inside there, and originally was painted a kind of baby shit yellow. It was real jewel in it. It was a real jewel in its time. They stuck a first order friends lens in it, which sent out its light once a minute. They used a funk lamp with four It had four lamps with four wicks, which lit up the whale oil, lard, mineral oil, or whatever they used. And it was until 1938 that they finally got electricity out there, and a little longer till they got it working, as a hurricane came that year and blew the power out for quite a while. You know, I'm going to see if they got really anything juicy on the lighthouse. Let me see here. Okay, let's see what the folks that work here now say. The folks that work here now in the lighthouse and the gift shop say they hear doors slamming when no one else is there, footsteps climbing, and they're crazy laughing as the old keeper climbs these steps. The rope in the hand looking for his wife wasn't coming back. So anyway, the new lighthouse gets built and the story gets lost right about here. Some say the keeper stayed and died there in the keeper's quarters, and now then people still see him wandering about in there. So that makes sense too. A shadow figure in the night piercing the floor is waiting for the doctor to save his little boy. Well, that was a pretty good one. Pretty good story about the island, too. But yeah, I like breaking them down like that for you guys. I know you guys loves it. All right. Well, you know what it's time for? It is time for some Christmas stories. Let me get my shit ready. Okay. All right, this one is called A Christmas Tree Decoration. What's a Christmas without a little murder? A girl named Juliet is home alone, as she lives with her single mother, who is a nurse taking the night shift. Juliet finished decorating the Christmas tree when there is a scratching at the door to their apartment. When she looks through the peephole, she sees a man dressed in a dirty Santa Claus suit. "It's Santa Claus," she says. Juliet may be only 11 years old, but she's no idiot. She refuses to open the door and threatens to call the police when he doesn't leave. His solution to this little dilemma: an axe. Juliet hides in the closet while he busts down the door. When he finds her, she manages to stab him in the eye with a coat hanger, and it all goes downhill from there. Juliet's mother comes home and finds that she comes home and the door's busted open, and she's like, "What the hell?" And the closet's, a wreck. Well, then she looks at the Christmas tree, and it was decorated with the pieces of her daughter. Ain't that fucked up? That's like, I'm not only going to kill your daughter, around Christmas, but I'm going to decorate your damn tree with her body parts. That's having the Christmas spirit. Pretty creepy, man. Pretty creepy. All right, let's get on with the next one. Okay, this one is Greek goblins. Gobble gobble, mother. Around southern Europe, there's the legend of the... Now, I'm probably gonna butcher the shit out of this because y'all know I can't read for shit. Okay, this is called the Canalas goblins. These little monsters live underground throughout the year and only come up during the 12 days of Christmas. Although some say they're only up for the first 10 days of Zimmerah, the dreadful cold, as late December is freaking freezing. Most say that they are more annoying than harmful, pulling pranks, causing mischief, and demanding piggyback rides from humans. But in Turkey, it's a different story. They'll hang out on the streets at night and ask seemingly ordinary questions to people passing by. If you don't answer correctly, the goblin kills you. The correct answer is Kora, Turkish for black, another favorite hobby for the Karen Kaliolulis is calling out to people while imitating voices of their loved ones, like the Skinwalker. When he finds her, I've already read that, you dummy. Where was I? Sorry. People while the voices of their loved ones, one luring them out into the cold and killing them or letting them freeze to death. Isn't that a nice friend? Okay. We got one more, guys. Okay. Our last one. I didn't know they had this furry little guy, but they have a Christmas werewolf. So watch the fuck out, man, if you go out in the woods to find a Christmas tree. I'm probably going to butcher this name up too, but this is a Romanian name. The Prociliaceae are Roman werewolves of ancient love. And they love Christmas. They're like dogs who adore winter because they get to roll around in the snow. When they're not killing people, that is, but the werewolves are unique in that they do not reproduce by biting their victims. They're the hairy whatever. They are hairy corpses of evil men who've committed violent crimes and who just cannot seem to get enough of the bloodletting. And if that's not bad enough, they won't stay dead. After a werewolf dies, it comes back again, this time as a vampire. Now, the third time is a charm and all that. It'll die the third time. But you got to kill it the first time. And then try to kill it the second time. Yeah. Werewolves actually is said to increase during the Christmas seasons, making sense seeing as werewolves are social animals. They're going to get you... sorry, guys. They got to check in on Grandma, visit the in-laws, and count up how many humans they killed these years and set the new goal for next year. You know, all that jazz. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed my little Christmas stories. Hope you enjoyed my Lighthouse story today. Sorry if that one kind of took a little rambling and stuff. But, like I said, I'm glad you guys listen. I'm glad you guys are here for me. I'm glad you keep subscribing and downloading. And y'all guys just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're helping my podcast grow, and I love it. I love doing this for you guys. So I hope it didn't scare you too bad tonight with all these scary Christmas stories. But I will see you on the flip side, guys. And remember now, this has been Ghost Stories Told from the South. I am Stephen Booth, your host. We are on Spotify. We are on Stitcher. We are on Pandora. We are on iHeart, Amazon, iTunes. Got our own YouTube channel. So go check all that stuff out. Check out our Facebook. Check out our Instagram. So, all right, guys. Love you. You guys be good. Don't be too scary now. We will see you later. This has been a Booth Podcasting production. Boy!